Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we have something kind of fun and different for this channel. I've decided to do a buy my IRL horses in Star Stable with me, which I'm super excited for. I cannot wait to see how this video goes, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So to start, I want to introduce my horses first. I'm just going to be starting with 3 horses for this video, just to kind of dip our toe in first, right? So starting off with the first horse, this is Billy. He is an American quarter horse and a gelding. He's the horse that I ride the most out of all of our horses, and I love him dearly. He's my heart horse. So yeah. He kind of tends to dapple out a little more in the fall and winter times, but he is a very dark buckskin, and so I'm excited to find his Star Stable match. Next we have Kiss Me. Kiss Me is a Missouri Foxtrotter and a mare. She is a gray, and when we first bought her, she looked like this. She was very dark, very dappled. She gets that way in the winter sometimes still, but this is her in her first summer with us. So as you can see, she has lightened out a lot. And this is her now. She is very light. You can hardly see any of that dark gray or dappling. One key component about Kiss Me is her blaze. I really want to get that right. When we first got her, she had a very distinct blaze and a really cute pink nose, so that's a feature that I'm really looking for in whatever horse I get that symbolizes her. She also has 2 white socks on the back, on her hind legs, and 1 white sock on her left leg, and then a right sock that's a lot shorter than the rest of the socks, so that's kind of her. The last horse of ours that I'll be looking to buy is Willow. Willow is an American Mustang, and she is technically a black pinto. She has white on her stomach, which classifies her as a pinto horse. And then as you can see, she has a very thick blaze on the front of her face with a little pink nose, and she also has 2 white socks on the back and a white sock on her front left as well. So these are the horses we're going to be looking to get. I want to try and match their breeds to the color, but also I know that that's not always the most feasible, so I care more about it looking like them and capturing some of their characteristics than I do necessarily about the breed. So let's start off with buying our horse for Billy. I considered quite a few breeds, such as the Mustang, Andalusian, Lusitano, American Quarter Horse, of course, the Akhal-Teke, and the Belgian Warm Blood. However, I have since knocked off the Akhal-Teke because while I think that this body color matches his really well, especially in the summertime when he's really light, it is the completely wrong conformation for him, and I don't think that it necessarily just encaptures who he is. I'm also going to mark off the Lusitano because while he does dabble out like this, I already own this buckskin Lusitano, so therefore I'm not going to be using that one. Starting off with the Mustang for Billy, I really like this one. It's dark like him. It is pretty good conformationally wise. I feel like his mane is not so brown, and he also doesn't have the dark dun line that goes down the back, but overall it's a pretty solid pick. It has the chocolate tipped ears just like Billy and the dark points on all 4 legs. I think it's a really good match. Also, the dark muzzle makes a nice fit. Also in the Mustangs though, we have a couple other options. So we have this buckskin, which is just a little bit lighter, but as you can see, it has the dappling and the mane and tail are darker. It still has all the 4 dark points. However, it doesn't have the chocolate dipped ears, but it does have the black muzzle. So again, it's a pretty good match for Billy. So it's got to be between these 2. Both of them I feel like fit Billy really well, but we'll check out some other breeds first just to make sure before we make a final decision. Okay, next up for Billy is the American Quarter Horse. So they have this one that's a buckskin, but it's a very light colored buckskin. Billy has and always is a super dark buckskin. It's one of the things that I love and find unique about him. So I think this color definitely won't work. They also have this one, which is kind of like a sooty buckskin. Again, that's just not really Billy. He's not sooty at all. The dappling is nice, and obviously it is a quarter horse, which is great. It has the darker muzzle and the darker points on the body, plus the black mane and tail, but it just doesn't really fit him. Next we have this one, which is, I don't really know if they meant for this to be a dark buckskin or a bay. It kind of comes off as both. However, I feel like the black marks just go too far up on this horse to really match Billy, and it does have the black muzzle, which is nice for him, but no chocolate dipped ears, even though it has a black mane and tail. I think ultimately, with all these options, we're going to have to veto the American Quarter Horse breed for Billy, which is sad because that is what Billy is, but it just doesn't match him well enough. Next up for Billy, we have this Belgian warm blood. I don't know if it's meant to be like a bay or a buckskin, but it has the dark points and the black mane and tail that match Billy. Also, the coloring is very dark and golden, kind of like Billy, which is nice. However, he doesn't have a snip or a star, so that kind of throws it off for me. I don't really feel like it necessarily screams Billy with those incorrect markings, so I think we're gonna have to veto this from the Billy list. Okay, next up for Billy, we have the Andalusian. Again, the coloring is really nice. It has the 4 dark points on the legs and the black mane and tail with the darker muzzle. However, again, no chocolate dipped ears, and it does have white on the legs, which Billy doesn't have, as well as white on the nose. Again, Billy does not have that. He's completely solid colored. So I don't think that this is going to be a best match for Billy after all, and it looks like we have narrowed it down to the Mustang for Billy. Okay, let's go ahead and buy our first horse, which is Billy. It's got to be between these two. I think, man, this is so hard. I really like this kind of golden coloring because that reminds me a lot of Billy. It also has the chocolate dipped ears, which I really like. But he just doesn't have the dun stripe, and he's not so brown in his mane and tail. He's very dark in those areas. So I think we're going to have to go with this one. It also has the dapples, which he gets a lot, and I love when he dapples out. So I think that this is the right call. Let's see if we want to put a different mane on him. Billy does have a really long mane. And in my picture, it is braided like this, which I think is kind of cute. But I think we'll just leave it with the natural mane for now. So Billy is an adult. He's technically almost a senior. He's like 20 years old or 19 years old, I think. So he's reaching senior, but I'm in denial about it. So we're going to call him a adult gelding. And let's see if we can't find a name for him. Let's see, they've got Bill. So if we can just put a Y, perfect, Billy. This is exactly how we spell it. And so this is perfect. Yay, we bought Billy, guys. I can't wait to ride him. I love Billy so much. He's, like I said, my heart horse, and I'm so glad that I now will have an embodiment of him forever on Star Stable. For Kiss Me, I considered doing the Hanoverian, the American Quarter Horse, the Soleil Francais, the Dutch warm blood, the Finn horse, the Belgian warm blood, the English thoroughbred, and the Tennessee walking horse. However, I have since marked off the Hanoverian. It has no blaze, otherwise it would be almost perfect. I also marked off the American Quarter Horse. I felt like the mane was just too dark, and it's the slightly wrong build. I marked off the Dutch warm blood because the mane and legs are too dark and there is no blaze. And also I marked off the Finn horse. This horse probably would have been perfect when we first got Kiss Me, but for how she looks now, it's just too dark. Obviously, grays lighten throughout their life, so eventually she's going to be almost completely white. and she's been pretty light for our whole time owning her, besides her dappling out in the winter, so I'm looking for just a bit of a lighter color. Okay, starting off for Kiss Me is the Tennessee Walking Horse. This horse I feel like really matches Kiss Me. It's a gaited breed, which the Missouri Foxtrotter is, and it has the pink nose and the blaze that I'm looking for. It also matches her build a lot. She's very lean like this with the longer legs, but not a super tall horse. Overall, I feel like it really matches her. I believe that this horse has blue eyes, which Kiss Me does not, but other than that, it is pretty much Kiss Me in a capsule. So this is a strong competitor for Kiss Me for sure. For Kiss Me, we have this Belgian warm blood. This one I think is too dark for Kiss Me, but there's also this one which is really light, and it does have the pink nose and the grayer muzzle. However, it's almost too light for Kiss Me, I feel like. It has the right brown eyes. The build is kind of similar. Again, the gray muzzle and the pink nose is really cute, but it doesn't really have a distinct blaze or any socks. It really just has these kind of coronet band markings that are white, but really no like actual socks. This one is too dark to be Kiss Me. Maybe when she was really young, but the mane is like black, and that's not really her at all. So I think the blaze is perfect and the socks are perfect, but if these markings were just on this horse with a little more dark, I think that would fit Kiss Me a lot more. But for how these are, I just don't think that they really say Kiss Me very much. So we're going to have to veto these ones. The Soleil Francais for Kiss Me. This one fits really well, honestly. Kiss Me is starting to become more flea bitten like this and less dappled. It also looks like it has faint socks on some of its legs, and it does have the dark gray muzzle with the pink nose that I'm looking for that's kind of like a blaze, and it also has the brown eyes. The build is pretty similar. Kiss Me's not really this tall, but overall, it's a pretty good match. I think it's definitely going to have to be a top contender for her, and we're going to have to decide between probably this one and the Tennessee Walking Horse. However, we can't rule out the English Thoroughbred because we haven't yet seen that one, but so far I'm really liking this one for Kiss Me. Okay, lastly for Kiss Me, we're going to be looking at the English Thoroughbred. I did not realize that it was this light. Obviously this is not like Kiss Me at all. It has no dapples. It does have a pink nose, but it's very much almost like a cremello, like with the pink skin, and so it's definitely way too light to be Kiss Me, so therefore we can mark it off of our Kiss Me list. For Kiss Me, it's between the Soleil Francais and the Tennessee Walking Horse. Let's start off by talking about the Soleil Francais. The Soleil Francais does have the darker gray muzzle, the pink nose that I really like, the flea-bitten type of markings that Kiss Me is starting to get with brown eyes, and those are all pros. The cons would be the conformation is just not exactly Kiss Me. It doesn't have the white socks that Kiss Me has, and it's not a gaited breed, which makes it hard because I love that Kiss Me's a Missouri Foxtrotter. I'm so sad that they don't have them yet, and I'm really hoping that they'll get them soon. But despite that, I really still want to get a gaited breed for Kiss Me because that's one of her best features IRL. Moving on to the Tennessee Walking Horse, I really like. It has the thick white blaze and the pink nose as well. It also has the dappling that Kiss Me tends to get and has had every winter, and also a lot while we've owned her. The bottoms near the hooves are not quite socks, but they are lighter coloring, kind of like Kiss Me socks. So I do like that part. The conformation is probably closer to Kiss Me as it is a gaited breed. And as I said, it's also a gaited breed, which I really like because that's close to the Missouri Foxtrotter. The Tennessee Walking Horse and the Missouri Foxtrotter are both American gaited breeds that were developed on the eastern side of the United States, in Missouri and in Tennessee. So it honestly is kind of perfect. The only thing about this horse that's kind of a drawback is the blue eye. Kiss Me does not have blue eyes, so that's a little bit hard to look past. However, between the two, I think we're going to go with the Tennessee Walking Horse for Kiss Me. It's by Kiss Me. So we're going to go with the Tennessee Walker for Kiss Me. Let's see if we don't want to change the mane. We actually braid Kiss Me's mane a lot, but I actually think I'm going to go ahead and leave it natural this time around. So Kiss Me is also an adult mare. And let's see if we can't... Oh, they don't have Kiss. Let's see if they have Me. I don't know if they will. It doesn't look like they do. Okay, they have Mist Bee, and we'll just know that that's Kiss Me since we can't actually name her that. But overall, that's pretty good. I think that this one was definitely the right choice for Kiss Me. It definitely embodies her very well. Obviously, the blue eyes again were the wrong feature, but everything else about it, I can just totally see Kiss Me in this new horse, Mist Bee. For Willow, I have considered the Criollo, the American Saddlebred, the American Quarter Horse, the Soleil Francais, the Finn Horse, the American Paint Horse, the Mustang, and the Tennessee Walking Horse. However, I have since marked off Criollo. It has too much white and it's too pinto-ish. Even though Willow is technically a pinto, she's not really your classic paint pinto styles, so therefore the Criollo is just not going to work. I also marked off the American Saddlebred. It has the wrong facial marking and the wrong conformation. It's just too tall and elegant, not to sound like weird, but Willow is just a very shorter Mustang. She's only about 14.2 hands and she's very punchy, so she doesn't have the long limbs and tail that is seen in the American Saddlebred. I also marked off the American Paint Horse for the same reason. It's just too white and too much paint. And then I also marked off the Tennessee Walking Horse because it has the wrong facial and leg markings and there's just not enough white. For Willow, so the only one that would really match Willow is this one. However, it doesn't have the white blaze, and I feel like that's a big part of Willow's markings. Also, no socks. So even though it matches her breed and it is a Mustang, as well as the build I think is really nice, it's just not enough Willow to really capture who and what she is. I think we're going to have to go ahead and veto the Mustang from our Willow list. Next for Willow, we have the American Quarter Horse. I really like it for Willow. It does have a blue eye, which Willow doesn't have, but it has that thick white blaze like Willow does. It even has the 3 longer socks and 1 shorter sock, which are on the wrong legs technically for Willow, but still it's a really cute feature that I like. It has the white at the end of the tail, which Willow doesn't have, but overall it's a pretty good fit. It has the pink nose and the right kind of build for Willow. It's kind of shorter, so I think we're definitely going to have to consider this one for Willow. Next up for Willow, we have the Soleil Francais. As you can see, it has 3 white socks, which is nice. That's kind of like Willow. And it also has the thicker white blaze and the pink nose, which is really nice. The build, it doesn't necessarily match Willow, but it's a pretty solid horse for her, I think. So I definitely think it's going to have to be one of our top contenders for her. Okay, lastly for Willow, we are looking at the Finn horse. It has a very good build, similar to Willow, kind of shorter and stockier, with the thick white blaze and the pink nose. However, it doesn't have the right kind of socks, even though it does have 3. They're really short socks, and Willow kind of has more stocking kind of socks. Also, this blaze is crooked. Willow's is a lot more even, so I don't think we're going to go with the Finn horse for Willow either. For Willow, it's got to be between the Soleil Francais and the American Quarter Horse. Starting off with the Soleil Francais, it has 3 white socks, all on the right feet. Well, the socks on the front should technically be switched, but other than that, it's pretty perfect. It also has the thicker white blaze and the pink nose, which is perfect for Willow. The markings are really spot on this horse as far as they go for Willow. The only thing holding me back is the conformation. The Soleil Francais is a very elegant breed. It's very tall. I think of it as an English breed, and that's not really Willow, so I have a hard time with that. However, we have the American Quarter Horse, which again has the 3 white long socks and the 1 shorter white sock, which is not necessarily Willow. The socks are also on the wrong feet, but overall, it's a pretty good one. It also has a thick white blaze and a pink nose. I would consider this horse to be more pinto like Willow without being like overall kind of looking like a paint. However, it does have the 1 blue eye, which Willow doesn't have. But the conformation is just like Willow. It's a lot shorter and stockier like her, which is kind of perfect. Between the two, I feel like I'm really stuck on this one. I don't think I can go wrong either way, but I do think I'm gonna have to go with the Quarter Horse. I think overall it just gives a more Willow vibe with the conformation and just everything about it. Let's buy Willow. So we decided to go with this black American Quarter Horse. Let's go ahead and get her. So Willow is also an adult. She's in her teens. I think she's around probably 15, 14 years old, and she's a mare. So let's see if we can't name her Willow. Perfect. And then we'll just remove the last name. And perfect, guys. Here we go. We're gonna buy Willow. I'm so glad with the choice that we made. I think that this build is just so much more Willow. I know she doesn't have the white eye, but everything about this horse just really embodies her. I also know she doesn't have the white tail, but like I said, it's very much Willow. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you guys really enjoyed. Let me know what you thought. And if you would do anything differently, if you would have gotten a different horse. I hope that you guys agreed with my choices, but also I am very content with the choices that I made. It's hard to get things exactly right, and I think that we did a pretty good job overall. However, if you guys would have gotten a different horse for one of these guys, let me know which one and why. I'm super interested to see that, and I also want to know if you are rooting for a different horse for one of these guys that you think matches them better. Overall, like I said, I think we did a really great job. Also, let me know if you guys would like to make this a series. I can definitely do multiple parts. I grew up with a lot of different horses, many of which have passed away now because they are ones that I had when I was little, but ones that I still really loved and rode and cared for, and I would love to have them in my stable as well. So let me know what you guys think. We also have more horses right now that are still living. So yeah, if you guys want to see more videos like this, we can definitely make this a series, at least for a few more parts. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Happy riding! Bye!